Welcome, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Athena Paquette Cormier with the League of Women Voters. I'm the moderator this evening. And before I start with the rules and all that kind of good stuff, I'd like to introduce Pamela Thornton, who's president of the League of Women Voters Torrance area. Welcome, Pamela. Unmute yourself, Pamela.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name again is Pamela Thornton, and I'm the current president of the League of Women Voters of Torrance area. This is the opportunity for residents and constituents of the area to see the candidates that are running for the upcoming election. This is an opportunity that we gave to all residents to ask questions in advance to all of the elected candidates or the candidates that are running for this elected seat. So also, I wanted to point out that our league services the areas of Carson, Gardena, Lomita, Harbor City, Torrance, and parts of Harbor Gateway. So this is the local league for the area. If you're interested in joining our mailing list, please text to 444-999 and enter keyword LWVTA, and you will be added to our mailing list. Our website is leaguelwvtorrancearea.org. Again, lwvtorrancearea.org. If you need help with your ballot, please visit votersedge.org. Again, votersedge.org. All of the candidate information is there, and also the opportunity to do the research for the ballot measures that are showing up on your ballot. Also, I wanted to mention that we as a league work to encourage active participation in government. We want our stakeholders to understand about major public policies, and we seek to influence public policy through education and advocacy. We do not support any political office or candidate. We remain nonpartisan. So thank you again for joining us this afternoon. And I would also like to thank our Voter Services Director, Monica Fredericks, who's there. Wave at the people so they can see you. So that's Monica Fredericks. You've interacted with her. She's responsible for coordinating our candidate forums, and we are grateful for all of the outreach and the number of hours of volunteer services she's given to us to make sure that these candidate forums happen. And our moderator for this afternoon is Athena Paquette Cormier. She is the immediate past co-president of the League of Women Voters of Torrance area. And I will turn it back over to you, Athena. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pamela. So I see we have more people joining us. That's very exciting. Isn't this a fun thing to do on a Sunday? I'm just so excited to hear from all of you guys. We are missing some people, so but we're going to go ahead and get started. So first, I'd like to tell you how the order of candidates is done and kind of the structure of what's going to happen. So first of all, we draw the names at random for the order, but it all actually doesn't mean which position you're in or what seat you got, so to speak, because I'm going to rotate the questions through. So everyone will get a chance to be first, and everyone will get a chance to be last. If I calculated right, we have time for about 9 questions. And so how the format works is that you're going to get a 2-minute opening and a 2-minute closing statement timing, and then you're going to get 1 minute for each question. Now, you don't have to use up the whole 1 minute. You can take as much time as you want, but at 1 minute, feel free to complete your sentence or thought, but please don't start a whole nother paragraph because that takes away from the amount of questions we can get through and from your co-candidates, which is not fair at all. So we're all about fairness, right? Okay, so also you cannot yield the time from 1 minute to another question. So let's say you take 30 seconds on one question, you can't take a minute and a half on another. So once your time is done for that question, it's done. Monica is going to be doing the timing. She's our timer for today because she wanted yet another job in this show. So Monica has graciously agreed to time. And so what she's going to do is hold up in the 2-minute question. She'll hold up a 1-minute card when you have 1 minute left, and then 30 seconds, 15 seconds. And then when you're done, when your time's up, it says stop. So like I said, you don't have to take that literally, but you do have to wrap it up at the stop sign. Okay, and then on the 1-minute questions, she'll do the 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and stop. So now for some ground rules. The candidates will not refer to each other by name, but speak in the first person. Answer the question from your point of view, and no personal attacks are allowed, obviously. And if that does start to happen, we do have reserved the right to shut the whole thing down, which we've had to do in the past with other groups. And it's a sad thing that we put this effort into it, but sometimes that happens. So we do want to hear what the candidates think that they will do in office, or how they will handle things, or what their thoughts are on an issue. We do not want to hear what you think about the other candidates' thoughts on anything, or their haircut for that matter. We don't care what you think about the other guys. So no talking over each other. The Zoom format really helps, because as soon as you're done talking, mute yourself, not only because that helps us to keep this structure, but also, I don't know how many Zoom calls you've been on, but they're very sensitive. If your mic is sensitive, while someone else is talking, your picture could show up instead of their face. So that's why it's really important to mute yourself, because any little background noise makes the pictures jump, right? You'll always address me, the moderator, if you have questions, or in fact, if you want the question repeated, I'm more than glad to do that, and it doesn't take away from your time to answer the questions. All candidates have signed an agreement agreeing to all these terms, so we're all on the same page. And not to worry, this video is being recorded, so if you have friends, family, supporters who couldn't make it, we'll have this video done in about 2 days. And actually, our guy's been running not even 24 hours. And we'll put it up on our YouTube channel and on our website, so you can share it with everybody you want. The only thing edited is the little bit in the beginning. The League believes in not editing anything. So if you see videos out there of one of our forms that's edited, we did not do that. And that's like a bootleg, massaged, truncated for certain purposes kind of video, if you know what I mean. Okay. So now the candidates know the rules for them, but it's come to our attention that we should repeat our rules about kind of behavior by the audience in the room. Now, normally we're in a big room, and there are a lot of rules about, don't wear your pins and your t-shirts, and no hooting and hollering. So Zoom has eliminated a lot of that, but our experience in the last couple of days has been that some people, like trolls or mean people, get in the chat room and say some things that are just not appropriate. And so I just want to make it clear that we encourage you to applaud your favorite candidate or all the candidates with brilliant things they say, but we do not want lack of civility, no swearing, no, instigation kind of language. And so Pamela is going to be monitoring the chat room. I almost said classroom. That's so funny. She's going to be monitoring the chat room, and she's going to let me know if something is not according to League civility standards. And if that happens, you will be bounced out of the chat room and out of this whole event. So, we want everyone to enjoy this. So let's all behave and it go very, very well. Okay. So I don't think I have all my candidates here. And I did choose the names at random, assuming everyone would show up. So I'm not going to redo my chart. Just for curiosity's sake, I don't know if you can see this, but this is my little chart. Okay. So to redo it, I'm not redoing it. I'm just going to skip the people who aren't here. And if they show up, we'll reintegrate them into the process. Okay. So are we ready? We are ready. Okay. So we are going to start with our 2-minute opening statement. I'm going to read to you what your seat number is, just so you know when you come up. So first up will be Mr. Thomas. Second would be Mr. Kim. Third would be Mr. Hicks. Fourth would be Mr. Valdez. Fifth would be Mr. Santarina. Number 6 is Ms. Murdoch-Williams. And number 7 is Mr. Hilton. So we're going to start our opening 2-minute opening statements then with Mr. Charles Thomas. So please unmute yourself.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, welcome.
Okay. Hi there. Hi, my name is Charles Thomas, and I'm the next council member for District 1 Carson City Council. First off, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters, Torrance, for the opportunity to share the details about my candidacy. First, a little bit about me. I'm the product of LAUSD. I have a bachelor's in law degree from UC Berkeley. I also have an MBA from USC. After school, I worked in commercial real estate transactions, first at a law firm, and then at JP Morgan Chase Bank. During my 6 years at the bank, I closed over $1 billion in commercial loans each year. Then the financial crisis hit. I quickly transitioned to academia. I have been at California State University, Dominguez Hills since 2009, where I'm a tenured faculty member in business law. I'm a proud union member, California Faculty Association. While at CSUDH, I've been a leader and an outgoing chair of the Academic Senate, elected by all faculty on campus. I've also been very active in the Carson community, where I've lived since 2004. I live in Dominguez Hills Village, right across from the campus, and I have served as the president of the Homeowners Association. I've also was appointed to the Planning Commission for the city of Carson, where I served from 2015 to 2018. Now that I've covered me, allow me to share the reason for my candidacy. During my time on Planning Commission, we took on significant issues like the oil ordinance. However, the Planning Commission is only advisory. The true decisions are made by the City Council. This told me I needed to consider running for City Council if I wanted to truly effectuate change in the city. The other issue of note was the massive apartment developments in the city. The rents for these projects essentially tell the current residents of Carson that they are not part of the future if they don't increase their incomes dramatically. Due to my extensive experience in real estate, development, and finance, I believe I have a unique skill set to offer the city of Carson as we are at a crossroads between our industrial, oil, and our logistics past and our residential and retail future. We need tools to ensure that development is not merely here to attract migration of residents from further west and dislocating our residents from locations further east. At this point, I will move on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, I don't believe I see Mr. Kim. So next up would be Mr. Hicks.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing? My name is Cedric Hicks. Good. I am the current council member for the city of Carson and running for re-election now from District 3. My background, I've been in law enforcement and administrative background with over 34 years of background and experience. I retired in 2016 to devote my time to the city of Carson. I was the assistant city manager for the city of Compton. And with that educational background and experience, it has provided me the opportunity to be the council person here in the city of Carson. I always talk about my family life and working in the city of Carson. I have been a resident of the city for over 30 years. I always talk about my 3 children. I've had a kid born in every decade, the 80s, the 90s, the new millennium, and now I have my grandson. So I'm very vested in this community and that what I do is for the betterment of family and making sure that family is always first and foremost and understanding that if you don't have a family, we can always, for me, I always adopt any individuals who want to be adopted and to be a part of the family. But my biggest concern is making sure the city of Carson has a viable future with its motto, future unlimited. It is one of the key components of what I work towards and live by. Making sure we have a community that is safe, that is vibrant, and that is growing. And I think with my leadership ability, along with my educational background, from my bachelor's degree from Cal State Fullerton, from my master's degree from Cal State University Dominguez Hills in conflict management negotiations, and my MBA from UCLA, has provided me the opportunity, along with my experience, to be the candidate and to continue to be the council member here in the city of Carson. Thank you.
Thank you. So next we have a Mr. Valdez, but I don't see him. So then next we would have a Mr. Santorina, and I don't see him. So Ms. Murdoch Williams, is that how you want me to say your name, by the way? Let me know if that's how I should say it.
Yes, it's actually Williams Murdoch, but Williams Murdoch is fine.
Okay, Williams Murdoch. Okay, let me switch that on my list. Okay, your turn for your opening 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. I want to thank the League of Women Voters, Torrance, and it's nice that you guys described that it also encompasses Carson area. Thank you very much for putting this forum on for us today. I'm grateful for the opportunity. My name is Brandy Williams Murdoch. I'm a candidate for Carson City Council District 3. I was born and raised right here in the city of Carson, and I'm actively involved and well-versed on the various issues that affect our city. I love this city. This city means very, very, very much to me. I have roots here. I went to the local schools. My children are actively involved in the local parks here, and they go to the camps as well. We frequent local small businesses in our area, as well as appreciate the larger venues and attractions that Carson has. As a mother who is raising her children in her hometown, I have the privilege of making community connections that I've had for a while growing up. And I'm actively involved in the city and have been civically engaged since I graduated high school, Carson High School. I hold a bachelor's degree in business administration, which highlights my competencies in the private sector. And I have a master's degree in human services, organizational leadership and development, which emphasizes my knowledge of the public sector. I am a widowed mother of 2 children who is concerned about the public safety and other issues that can impact the lives of not only my son and daughter, but the lives of other children right here in the city of Carson. I have served as a city commissioner and an active community volunteer. I am adamant about being of service, an advocate, inspiring camaraderie amongst my political peers, enacting legislature and policy changes. Giving a fresh face and a different voice, the opportunity to lead, is exactly what we need in this city. I'm not a fresh face. I'm not a new face. I'm an independent thinker, and I can be trusted to be the voice, the new voice for the city of Carson, District 3. Thank you.
Thank you. And so next we have Mr. Hilton.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the Torrance League of Women Voters, and thank everyone for tuning in on a Sunday, for coming out and to hear the candidates. My name is Jawan Hilton. I am the council member for the city of Carson and the current and will be the next council member for the 1st District. I'm just excited to be here. I believe my track record, the bringing Carson together to get things done, will speak for itself. I'm the most active, accessible, and approachable council member on the city council at the present moment. I interact daily with our community. I'm excited to say that I'm endorsed by the LA County Democratic Party. I'm endorsed by the LA County Federation of Labor, and a lot of people you know and trust, Mayor Garcetti. And the list goes on because they see the work and the reach that we're doing here in Carson. And not only is the future of Carson on the ballot in November, but justice is on the ballot. And not only is justice on the ballot, but the future of Carson is on the ballot. And in order for Carson to move forward, Jawan Hilton needs to still be on the city council. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so we are ready for our questions now. And candidate 2 would normally start, but candidate 2 has not arrived. So candidate 3, which is Mr. Hicks, you get the first question. First question is, what is the best way to handle Carson's homeless population? What types of outreach programs are in place and run by the city? How would you improve those programs?
Thank you for that question. Many times people look in the city of Carson and see that there is a small portion of our community that's homeless. I beg to differ. We have in our community homeless individuals who are mobile. Many people are aware of the mobile homelessness that we have. They're in cars, they're in mobile homes, they park on our streets, and they're in our neighborhoods. What the city has done to address that issue, we have contracted with the LA County through the PATH program and along with other clergy that assisted in providing valuable resources to our residents and to our homeless population. What needs to be done is greater outreach, and I say boots on the ground, to assist those that are in the area. I know we have done some programs where we are helping individuals by having showers and other resources made available to them. But I think what needs to be done is having more boots on the ground to assist those that are in the community, and also to work with our local schools and our local elected officials besides the city of Carson, but our senator and our state legislators as well.
Thank you. Candidate 4 is not here. or number 5? So candidate 6, Ms. Williams Murdoch, you have a shot at this question next.
I really, I'm grateful for this question, and here's the reason why. I sat on the homeless count committee that we had here in the city of Carson. So I was able firsthand to go out and see who our homeless population are here right in our city, and notice that we have a concern here. There is an issue. However, we have diverted that issue to the Los Angeles County, and we have not done enough right here in our own city to be sure that we put things and resources in place for the homeless population. Now, this of course is not this is not a dig at anyone on the council. It's just that it needs to be on the forefront. And how do we do that? We need to first look at mental health services. And if we're going to partner, we need to make sure we have resources for mental health services, along as a resource center for our homeless population. Now, if we do partner with LA County, I would like it to be for placement, but we need to be able to be a resource so that the homeless population knows that they have somewhere to go and it's tangible right here in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Hilton.
Yes, that's a great question. Daily Breeze cited in their article a couple of months back that Carson has one of the lowest homeless population rates. One of the things that we must understand that if we tie this correlation with mental health and homelessness, most of the people that we find that are homeless, that are walking the street here in Carson, they have mental health issues and they're actually from our city. So it is our hope that we do create a better partnership with LA County. There are Measure HH funds that we need to address, that the city needs to get their fair share. I'm the one who can build that relationship with the county. We've so long had that we haven't had that quality relationship with the county, but I have direct access to our supervisor. We have a personal relationship, and we're working together through programs like PATH, through pop-up showers and things of that nature. Thank you so much.
Okay, so please remember to mute yourself because we got a little bit of background noise from another candidate. So, okay, Mr. Thomas, your turn at this.
Thank you so much, Athena, for the question. I will tell you that in addition to the mental health issues that are part of the homeless problem, we also know the solution to homelessness, and that is actual housing. And my friend, my colleague that I went to law school with, is at the Inner City Law Center, and he's been a champion as it relates to actually providing housing. There was a study done 5 years ago with the 100 most vulnerable homeless and giving them housing without any conditions whatsoever. And the results of that study are remarkable. You can also see the same studies being done in Salt Lake City and other cities. I will also point out that Measure H is just the money portion of it, as we see that there's very difficulty in actually building transitional housing because we get resistance from communities as diverse as, let's just say, Venice as an example. Last but not least, I just want to point out that housing policy is an important part of this because that is what ultimately drives homelessness. And I have a vision for smart growth, and I have plans to implement them. And this city needs what I would call inclusive zoning policy. In a few words, sorry.
Thank you, sir.
I can't see you, by the way, because someone took me off of the other Zoom. If I could possibly get back on, that would be fantastic.
Oh, you were signed on twice, so it was distracting. And so you can't see the timer, lady?
I can't see the timer. I can't see anyone based upon the view I'm in right now.
Oh, well, that's okay. So I don't know how we can.
Just cut me off. I'll be fine.
Okay. So next. So the next question, Mr. Hicks goes first. I hear a lot of concerns about keeping Carson safe. What do you think are the safety issues for our city? Do you have a solution for Carson's gang situation?
Thank you for that question. The city of Carson, through our sheriff's department, we do have a gang detail unit that goes out and survey our community, as well as our park patrol that we have that goes to all of our 12 parks in our city. The plethora of possible drug activity as well as gang issues have all stemmed behind drug usage and drug sales. We need to crack down on illegal drug activity in our community, and I think the resources need to be made available. I know that the county has done some cuts in their budget towards the sheriff's department. I just think that the city as a whole, probably we need to step up to the plate and put a little bit more money into our budget to address illegal homes and illegal drug locations in our city, to curtail the drug traffic in our community, to actually knock down the gang activity as well.
Okay, thank you. Candidate 4 and 5 are not here yet. So candidate 6 is Ms. Williams Murdoch. And do you need me to repeat the question, or?
No, I don't.
Okay, go
Thank you
ahead.
for asking. What are the issues that I think as it relates to public safety? I've got to first thank our sheriff's department for what they have done right here in our city. Our crime rate is relatively low. We have an excellent relationship with Captain Skeen. He's there. He's done forums, and he's bridging the gap between us and the community. The issue is that we have the concern with things that are happening within our city and information getting to the sheriff and people feeling comfortable with sharing that information, which is why I want to incorporate many of our community and people in our community engaging with things such as Nextdoor, and segue that along with the sheriff's department so that people feel comfortable with seeing something and saying something. As it relates to the gang activity that we have here in the city of Carson, I grew up here. I know what I'm talking about as it relates to gang activity. And we need to be serious about creating programs and prevention programs for our youth so that we keep our youth. The way you're going to do things is prevention versus reaction. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Hilton.
Can you repeat the question? I just want to make sure I answer it also.
Sure. I hear a lot of concerns about keeping Carson safe, is in quotes in the question. What do you think are the safety issues for our city? Do you have a solution for Carson's gang situation?
Yeah, one of the things I think that public safety is an issue everywhere. It's not just limited to Carson. Everyone wants their public safety. And when we talk about the gang portion here in Carson, I grew up in Carson all of my life, went to every local public school, know some of the gang members, old and young. I think that's of creating a community relationship and partnership. As sitting on the council, I tried to summons the gangs together to say, hey, can we call a truce? Can we call a walk path for young people who would like to just get through the neighborhood, who would not like to be involved in gangs? I think we need to have more alternative programs, more access to jobs. If we have an open opportunity for these young people to do something other than get involved in gangs, some extracurricular activity, I think we encourage them to make our communities safe. Because most of the people who grow up here, they end up buying here, living here, and raising their family here, like myself. Thank you.
Thank you. And so, Mr. Thomas, you're up next with this question.
Hi, thank you, Athena, for the question. I want to first start off by saying that I'm going to contrast the answers here and say that I don't view this so much as a public safety problem with drugs, but rather a public health problem. Addiction is a public health problem. It is not a criminal problem. And at the end of the day, when you bring the force of criminality, all you do is continue to oppress people and push them further toward that addiction. I would also tell you, as it relates to quote unquote gangs, that again, partnership for youth, I'm going to echo those same comments, but I'm also going to tell you that as an educator, I spend my life in terms of actually directing students, and the students that I teach at California State University, Dominguez Hills, are poised to be the models for change. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. So the next question goes first to candidate 6, Ms. Williams Murdoch. And the question is, how do you feel about the transportation options currently available in Carson? Do we have enough options? If not, what will you do to increase those options? Oh, did I lose her?
It looked like she fell off the screen.
Yeah, so I'll come back. Hopefully she signs on again. Huh, that's odd. Okay. Okay then, so let's see. And actually, 5 and, so candidate 6, so it's candidate 7, Mr. Hilton. Can you take that question first then?
Sure. You said transportation. Can you repeat it one more
I'll
time?
repeat the question. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so number 7. How do you feel about the transportation options currently available in Carson? Do we have enough options? If not, what will you do to increase those?
Well, I do believe we have a number of transportation options. We attempted during this pandemic to convert to a ride sharing program like a Lyft, and we have granted every resident the opportunity to get to and from any area of Carson for absolutely free. Because as we recognized during this pandemic, there were things, the buses weren't being sanitized. I believe there's always alternative ways that we can get through. I've been an advocate for bikes. I've been an advocate for scooters through the community. I think those are all the things that we need in order to be an essential city and to make sure that we're moving in the direction of other cities. When you go to cities like Long Beach, they have scooters to get from one end of the city to the next. They have bikes. And I think we need to incorporate all of those things here in Carson in order to become a destination city. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back, Ms. Williams Murdoch. We all panicked when we didn't see you. Well, maybe just me, but so I'm assuming you didn't hear the question, right?
I did not. If you could
Okay.
repeat that for me.
I'll repeat it. No
Yeah.
problem. Okay. How do you feel about the transportation options currently available in Carson? Do we have enough options? If not, what will you do to increase those options?
Oh, that's an excellent question. And I think I heard Councilman Hilton mention this, but I'm really excited about this because I want to bring some forward-thinking ideas here to our city, like the scooters that you see around Long Beach, around the bikes. I bike ride with a group here in Carson twice, 3 times a week called the Sunset Riders. And it's extremely fun. And it also allows us to incorporate exercise. Not everyone wants to take public transportation and not everyone needs to take it a long distance. So to have those different alternatives would be excellent. As it relates to our transportation, I know we stopped that for a while due to COVID issues, and I understand safety. I would have liked for us to figure out some different options for people because their only option a lot of times is transportation. And if we did have alternative options for transportation, that would have helped in the situation, especially with us being in the midst of a pandemic. So yes, I'm excited about bringing new transportation options to the city of Carson.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mr. Thomas, you get to take this one next.
Thank you again, Athena. I want to first start off by saying that ride sharing for my largely senior citizen community is inadequate because most of them don't have the smartphones necessary to engage in in those very apps necessary for ride sharing. I want to point out that we are close to metro lines. We are a part of transit hubs, but we do have problems with just the transit hub right there at the mall, and we've been trying to work on that for several years. I will also continue to point to the fact that these transit hubs are being used as the basis for our housing explosion, and that housing explosion becomes pretty critical as it speaks to the strains upon our traffic as it currently stands. Last but not least, scooters are downright dangerous, and we need to be very concerned about the nuisance that are being created in cities like Santa Monica and Westwood as it relates to scooters before we go headfirst into the 23rd century. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I don't see Monica anymore. Okay, hang on a second. I'll grab my phone to do the timer. I don't know what happened to her.
While we're waiting, if I may, I've gotten a couple text messages asking about the link in Eventbrite. The people that registered through Eventbrite haven't received the link. I don't know if that went out or if we can send that out again.
So when they registered, down at the bottom of Eventbrite, there was the link to this, so they can use that. Because I don't know how to get it out at this point because we're in the middle of it. But
So
yeah, at the bottom, yeah, when they registered on Eventbrite, at the very bottom, and maybe Pamela can speak to this, but at the very bottom there was the link to the event. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And then
That's correct, Athena. That's correct.
Okay. And Pamela, do you have a timer on your phone that you could use? Because Monica disappeared.
Sure, I can.
Can you do the
assist.
timing?
Sure. Is it 1 minute? 1 minute? per
Right.
question?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay. So where was I? So we're on question number, okay. So Mr. Hicks, you're next.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
In answering the question regarding to the transportation, I used to be the past director of community services that actually supervised the transportation department here in the city of Carson. I do believe that our transportation department needs to be expanded to provide services to all sectors of our community, north, south, east, and west. There is a program called the North-South Shuttle that we have in our city, and I think it needs to be expanded. And I think with the passing of Measure M, that provided additional funding for transportation in the entire region, is just not a good thing at this point in time because those dollars are not coming back to the city of Carson. But what I would like to see that our Dollar Ride program be expanded, that our LIFT program be expanded to address all of the issues in our community, and to expand, again, the North-South Shuttle. One thing I did do is to get a grant to the city at the tune of $1 million to look at our bike routes in our community to expand them, because many of our bike routes did not lead to anywhere. They were kind of fragmented in our community. And I think with this $1,000 grant that the city received, we're now going to be able to at least connect communities in our city through bike pathways in our community. And that will make it a better way for individuals to travel from north, south, east, and west in our community. So with that, we do need to increase our transportation services, but we need to treat them as we do our regular highways and we have in our city. So again, bike pathways are very important.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Hey,
So the
one
next,
second.
Okay.
1 second, Athena. I
Yeah.
apologize for interrupting.
Yeah.
So there's something going on that Monica can't get back in. She's having technical difficulties. So
Oh.
just letting you know. But we can move forward, and I will do the timing from here on out.
Okay, great. And are you going to give them signal with your hands, or do you have timing cards there with you?
I didn't make timing cards. You'll just have to look at me. And
Okay.
I,
So
I'll-
what
I'm
sign
going
will
off
you give them?
okay, I'll say start.
Okay, but I mean, how are you going to indicate that they have 30 seconds and 15 seconds just so they have a feel? So maybe hold up your hand when it's been 15, when they have 30 seconds left, and then maybe 2 fingers if they have 15 seconds left, and then 1 finger if they're done. Does that sound good? Okay. Okay, we will make this successful for you people. It's very important that the candidates get to be heard today. So, okay, our next question, Ms. Williams-Murdoch is going to get to go first. And the question is, how do you think the city should promote economic development?
Oh, this is a question that I'm excited about. So I have 20 years of real estate and finance background. And in order to promote economic development, there's a couple things that we need to do. So we have a lot of, I'd like to first start on the residential side. So we have a lot of housing that is going up. And from my understanding, 20% of that housing is supposed to be directed to low income housing. I'm not quite sure if that's what's being done. And people get a little concerned about hearing low income, but as someone who's a millennial and who understands how important home ownership is, this is an opportunity for us to segue into different ways for people to buy housing within our community. Now, low income does not mean 20 to 30,000. It means sometimes 60 to 80 to $90,000 because it's challenging to buy homes right now across California. So I would definitely want to make sure that we're incorporating the 20% low income housing there. Economic development, we need to partner with businesses and make sure that we're doing whatever necessary to make sure they want to come into our community. Oh, I need it longer.
Thank you. You could go on forever, I'm sure.
I could.
Okay, thank you. So Mr. Hilton, what's your thoughts on economic development?
One of the ways I think we increase economic development is to increase real wages. We need to attract businesses that pay livable wages in our community. But the only way that we can track those real businesses is we give them a tax credit for coming to our community. That's how other communities are drawing major corporations to their communities, because they're offering them tax incentives, because they know if their residents get jobs, then that will encourage leverage the economic infrastructure right in our community. So that's one of the ways. Of course, we want to add workforce housing. I know that people have that NIMBY mentality, not in my backyard. We don't want low income stuff. But if we call it workforce housing, that we can get those people the housing that they need at an affordable price, having low income housing that doesn't look like low income housing, but looks like housing that's quality for our community.
Thank you. And Mr. Thomas, you get this question next.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Athena. I want to first start off by saying that there's some low-hanging fruit right here in our backyard within my district, and that's the university. We underutilize the university and the opportunities that are directly available and the partnership opportunities that have been sitting here for some time. The university has its hand extended. And specifically, we're talking about the Innovation Incubator. We have the opportunity for not just students, but actually the larger community to participate. In fact, Ken's Ice Cream is one of the clients of the Innovation Incubator right here in Carson. I'll also speak to the notion of workforce housing, or more specifically, inclusive zoning policy, which in a few words recognizes the charge higher density has on our parks, roads, and infrastructure, and demands that developers contribute in meaningful ways. We currently have no policies or regulations in place in this regard. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. And now Mr. Hicks.
Thank you. My colleagues talked about one of the things that I've had a very, very passionate about. I don't want to call it affordable housing. I've always called it workforce housing. Like we said before, many people who are in the working class making between 50 to 60 to 70,000 a year are not able to get a home in the city of Carson. And I think that's a misnomer and is a disenfranchising of them that should not happen. Developers need, at this point in time, to set aside 25 to 35% of their development for workforce housing. What needs to be done in addition to economic development, we need to repurpose our mall. We need to look at ways of our warehouse in our community. E-commerce is a $300 billion industry looking to expand to a $480 billion industry by 2024. We have many warehouses in the city of Carson, and the city of Carson is positioned to get some of those dollars. And I think the economic boom, along with the jobs and e-commerce, will be the future of this city to make it even greater than it is today.
Thank you. Number 7. So the next question, we start with Mr. Hilton. And the next question is, what do you know about ADUs? How can Carson make the process of permits and building more streamlined for homeowners who are not contractors and want to build ADUs on their property?
Well, the ADU stands for additional dwelling unit. Some cities have passed to mitigate the homeless crisis. Carson is looking into our ordinance as it relates to the ADUs and to see if it's conducive and what type of land should encompass ADUs. Every house that's owned should not have an ADU. But if this is something that you would like to do, you should be able to do it at a streamlined process. But there's some communities that are just not suited for ADUs. If you stay in a PUD development, if you stay in a certain residential district or area, those wouldn't be conducive for ADUs. But we're open to that. And I do believe that ordinance is coming up to be reviewed in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Thomas.
Thank you again, Athena. Again, additional dwelling units is not the panacea for all of our woes in our housing, but it's certainly one component. I would tell you in the South, we already have significant density so that ADUs really don't present themselves as a viable option for many of the homes there because they're pre-war and the density is already significant. In short, what I'm going to continue to point back to is inclusive zoning policy writ large, which again speaks to the fact that we need to balance the need for additional housing while at the same time not allowing developers to run amok within our city. And that is going to be crystal. That's going to be of utmost importance. And that also includes our policies as it relates to ADUs. We need to make sure that we don't have, that is a centric answer relating to the actual community and not on the basis of lobbyists and people who are paying political contributions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. And Mr. Hicks, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts on ADUs, in the city, on the south end, we have very large lots that we have in our community, and many individuals who live in those locations have already put in new units, and there are some that are being constructed as we speak today. But it goes to differ that we need to make sure certain neighborhoods are in line with the aesthetics of that community. With COVID-19 being upon us with this pandemic and what has happened in New York, we need to really look at the density level of how we're putting people together. So it's going to be by block to really look at how you do these additional dwelling units. But again, I would never want to disenfranchise anyone for not being able to utilize their property to be able to create a new livable area for themselves or for their family members, or to be an entrepreneur and becoming landlords. But one thing I do want to make preference to is that we need to look at the health concerns that we have based upon COVID-19 and to look at each one of them individually.
Thank you. Wow, you guys are good at this timing thing. Okay, Ms. Williams-Murdoch, what are your thoughts on ADUs?
So ADUs are, and again, I just want to make sure that we clarify this, they're accessory dwelling units. And just so people understand what they are, they're similar to like mother-in-law quarters, or when you convert your garage into a living space for someone. You might have heard this come up quite a bit. And the reason you're hearing it is because of the market as it relates to housing. People just aren't able to buy houses right now. And so what better way for us to look at driving in additional revenue streams? Many times when you add an accessory dwelling unit, it could lead to an increase in the property taxes. Now, we are not receiving a large share on our property taxes, or as much as we like to in the city of Carson. However, I think that residents would look at a trade-off of, if it's going to give them additional space and help their children maybe transition from the home into an ADU, into their own housing, they would be up for their taxes being raised, property taxes, more coming into our city, and that's an additional revenue stream for us. So I would definitely want to look at adding ADUs for our community here in Carson.
Okay, so Monica and Pamela, you have different opinions on how much time is left.
And I didn't know who to look at. And I confused.
I started hers.
So the candidate
So
can pick
Monica-
whoever they agree with.
Monica, you have it on.
I just jumping in there so that Pamela can see that I'm back now. I don't know why, but I was booted up. Then I thought, I can go on with my phone, but then I can't do that because I can't use the timer.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
No,
Okay.
she got booted off, but I couldn't talk because I was on the screen.
Okay. Oh my
Okay,
God,
we're
that's
good.
hilarious. Okay, so Monica, you've got your job back.
Thank
Pamela,
you.
you got your old
I
job back.
wanted that back.
We're all settled now. Okay. So the next question, and we're going to start with Mr. Hilton. Are we okay? I'm hearing background noise for some reason. Okay. So the next question, Mr. Hilton, you go first, is who has endorsed you, and have you received campaign donations from any group, union, or business?
Yes, I have a wealth of endorsements by the LA County Federation of Labor, the Democratic Party, Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas, Assemblymember Mike Gibson, Councilmember Herb Wesson, Congresswoman Annette Bear-Gann. I've been endorsed by the community. I've been endorsed by a host of other people. I have received checks from unions. I pride myself on being endorsed by the LA County Federation of Labor, which is a labor union that represents essential workers. So yes, I have.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Mr. Thomas.
Sorry about that. I had to unmute. Yes, first I want to start off by saying that I have been endorsed by Carson Alliance for Truth, as well as the California Faculty Association. And when I say that I am supported by the union, know that not only am I a union member, but all of my signs are union printed. And that means that I not only live union, it's a part of my being. And last but not least, I've received no checks from any corporate entities one way or the other, including unions. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. So next up, Mr. Hicks.
Hi. Yes, I have been endorsed by the Southwestern Regional Carpenters Union Local 596. I've also received funding from them as well. I've also have been endorsed by the South Bay Association of Realtors. They've also sent me some money for my candidacy as well. I've been endorsed by Congresswoman Karen Bass, Congresswoman Annette Barragan, former LA Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, the Water Board District Harold Williams, as well as the former Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Carson, Julie Ruiz-Raber. And again, I have been receiving funds and also have been endorsed by our Councilwoman for the City of Carson, Councilwoman Lou Davis Holmes. So I've been endorsed by many people of different areas and organizations and have received funds as well from them as well.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Williams-Murdoch.
I'm excited about this question, and here's why. I ran in 2016, and I did not have very many endorsements. It was truly a grassroots campaign, and I came in third amongst the incumbents, and there were 9 candidates. Now to come in a race and to have the endorsements that I have, and for people to say, hey, we're taking a serious look at you, Brandy. We know who you are, you're tried and you're true. And so to have the endorsement of the Los Angeles County Democratic Party is extremely huge for me, and it's something that I'm grateful for. I also received the endorsement of the SEIU Local 721. I'm excited about that because I stand with working class families. And the endorsement that I recently received with the Los Angeles Federation of Labor Union, that is huge for me because I came from a family of working class and people who have benefited directly from the unions. I have received donations from the unions, which I'm extremely grateful for them to reach down in their pockets and say, we believe in you this much, Brandy, to change the city of Carson. And I am extremely excited about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next question, we're going to start with Mr. Thomas. How would you balance the city budget? What are your priorities?
Well, personally, I believe that we need to focus on smart spending and be rather judicious in terms of our spending. I enjoy parties just as much as the next person. However, if you're going to run a party and ultimately or celebration and you're going to run at a deficit, that's not smart. And so what I would encourage people to do would be to, if you still want to have the party, we may need to partner with the business community as it relates to sponsorship to defray or eliminate those costs so that we can still have the party while at the same time not running at a deficit. Thank you again for the question, Athena.
Thank you. Mr. Hicks, what are your thoughts?
We need to really look at our city budget. Most people don't understand the document that we put together as council members is a living document. That means funding comes in, revenue streams come in, revenue streams leave. So I think for the last 4 years that I've been on city council, we have actually come under budget, even though it might have been a deficit budget at the time that it was approved. But every year when we do a audit of the budget from the prior year, we end up with surplus of funds that allow us to increase our bottom line into our revenue account and to our balance sheets so that we have additional money in our bank. So we need to make sure when we do our budgets that we do our budgets based upon the current dollar amount that's really needed and not what is being expected to be spent future-wise. Let's be prudent to make sure we do the dollar amount of what we need to spend today. And then if we need to modify that budget, we can always come back at 6 months and do an amendment to make up the shortfall that we might have had. I think we need to not always keep going at the budget holistically at the entire year, but let's chop it down into 6-month increments.
Thank you. Ms. Williams-Murdoch, what are your thoughts on the budget?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Which one is it now? Oh, how would you balance the city budget and what are your priorities?
Another great question. So from my understanding, there are some things we need to take a look at the budget. There are some things inside of the budget that we have that are not currently being used, right? I used this analogy before, but I'm going to use it again just because it's layman terms. And I like layman terms and feel like other people will too. But it's kind of like I just did a call with the cable company and they were saying, do you watch these shows? Do you use these shows? I don't watch them. I don't use them. So why am I paying for them? And I don't think we've taken a serious look at what we're currently using in our budget against what we're currently spending out. That's huge. The other thing too is that within our budget, we've sent back some funds for some programs for our children that we could be using. So why aren't we allocating those funds towards the programs that we need to allocate them towards? We can balance a budget, but what's in the budget? And is what's in the budget benefiting the city and the residents of Carson? That's what I'd take an honest look at.
Thank you. And Mr. Hilton.
Thanks for the question. How would you balance the budget? The city's budget, as my colleague has already said, it has been balanced, but we do need to look for alternative ways to add to our budget. This pandemic is going to make every municipality around the world reevaluate their budget. Carson is a low property tax city, and we don't receive the wealth that some other areas receive when it comes to property tax. So we're going to have to look for unconventional ways to balance the budget, of course, tighten our belt, and to stop frivolous spending. Those are the things that we need to do in order to balance a budget. But we need to look for alternative ways, especially after this COVID pandemic, on how we get additional revenue streams into our community.
Thank you. So Pamela, we do have time for extra questions since we, my timing chart was based on 7 people. So if you want to look in the chat box or for all the attendees that are with us today, we didn't think we'd have time for audience questions, but go ahead and type your question in the chat box and Pamela will sift through to see, you know, and it cannot be, so I didn't go through this because we had pre-done questions from people emailing, but the question has to be able to be addressed to all candidates. So you can't ask a question that's directed to just one candidate and what they've done or haven't done or what you've heard about them or not or whatever. So your question has to be directed to all candidates. So because we do have time for a few more questions. Okay, the next question. Oh, Mr. Kim's not here. Okay, so the next question, Mr. Hicks, you're going to take this one first. Let's see. Okay, what is the most important issue facing Carson not to do with COVID?
There are 2 things that's facing the city of Carson. One is housing, again, affordable housing, workforce housing for our residents in our city. The second that's issue is dealing with our revenue stream and making sure that we are able to sustain the services that the city provides to its residents. Both are very important, and to curtail or to assist them is to look at the developments that are coming into our community to make sure they set aside, I'm saying 30% of their development for workforce housing and making sure our residents are in the forefront. I know we recently just built 3 affordable housing units, 1 for seniors, 1 for veterans, and 1 artist colony. We need to look at increasing our veterans housing in our city because veterans have given up so much of themselves for this country, and they should never, ever be homeless. And I think that's one of the remiss that we have done, and I think it's been a yeoman's job in making sure we address our veterans. So those are things that need to be addressed. And as revenue come in based upon new developments and new services, we're able to keep our revenue and services available to our community at the same level we are now.
Thank you. I'm learning so much about Carson today. Okay, so Ms. Williams-Murdoch, what are your thoughts?
The first concern that I have is transparency. There are some things that are happening, and I'm just going to mention it. We've got a 157 acre project that we think is going to be happening in our city, and right now it's not. It's at a halt. There's a lawsuit going on with it, and there's a lot of things behind the scenes going on that we have not been transparent about, or council has not been transparent about. Now, this is an issue and this is a concern because the residents of Carson are excited about this. Now, I will be the first to say, and I want to make sure that I say it here and now, that we're all human. And if we make a mistake, it's okay. What we do is we say we made the mistake. How do we figure out how to rectify it? And that's not what's happening, which in my opinion, we need to change. The second thing is involvement with the city of Carson's residents and a segue for them to do it. they cannot be at a council meeting until 4 o'clock in the morning. We've got to have different ways for them to engage in the process so that we know what the residents want, majority of them, versus the continuous 100 residents over and over again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Hilton.
Can you repeat the question one more time? for
Yeah,
me?
so what is the most important issue facing the city of Carson now, not to do with COVID?
I want to say one of the most important issues is getting our workforce back to work. Because of this pandemic, our city has suffered from that. But we've been understaffed in our public works department. We've had a lot of deferred maintenance in our community because we have cut a number of staffs, not just because of COVID, but because of the city's unfunded positions. But we need to make sure that our workforce comes back together. Our public works are on top of things, our roads and our infrastructure is coming together. That is one of the most important issues. And another issue that's facing Carson is to address the food desert that is in North Carson. We must address the food desert that is in Carson, since we have placed a moratorium on discount stores in order for us to attract a grocery store in North Carson. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Thomas.
Hi, Athena. Thank you again for the question. I am going to tell you that beyond the inclusive housing policy, which I've already spoken to, I'm going to tell you the second most important issue, or equally as important, is the mobile home closure issues that are occurring within our city. At the end of the day, mobile homes are, for better or for worse, the last vestige of affordable housing in the South Bay. And as we engage in displacement of these people, we are in essence saying that in order for the growth of our future, we have to disregard our past. And I am not here for that. And so I just want to be crystal clear that the mobile home communities are the communities that matter within my district and within the South Bay. And we need to recognize that they are the last vestiges of affordable housing that exist in the South Bay. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, number 6. Okay, our next question, and Pamela, just so if I'm doing the math right, we have time for 2 more questions if you want to see what's in the chat box. Okay, so the next question, Ms. Williams-Murdoch, you're going to start with this one. Carson residents would like to shop in Carson and not give our tax dollars to surrounding cities when shopping. Carson only has 2 major supermarkets. With all the new housing development in Carson, do you see this as a good time to reach out to Sprouts, Trader Joe's, or something similar?
Excellent question. I don't know if that came from the viewers or if that was a question that you had, but they hit it right on the head. I had the opportunity of sitting on a committee where we actually were looking at what to do with a portion of land that we have left over. And one of them we understand is needing to address the need of a grocery store, right? And a quality grocery store, one that we can get fresh produce at, we can pick it, our children can eat it, and it's juicy and it's fruity, that kind of grocery store. And so when I sat on the committee and what I learned and understood was a lot of the reasons why we don't have larger stores or those stores that want to come into our community is because they're looking for rooftops. And they will tell us rooftops means households. How many households can they count in the community? So now is the perfect time to say, and they did not include the college, by the way. So now is the perfect time to say, we've got new rooftops coming in. Well, now what can we do? How can we build a partnership? How can we bring you into the community? I've spoken directly to some of the grocery stores, and I'm excited about what's happening. I know some people are opposed to the apartments coming, the luxury apartments coming, but it's going to help with getting a lot of things and bring a lot of things in that we want to see.
Thank you. And so, Mr. Hilton, what do you think?
Yeah, this has been my fight for the last 5 years that I've attempted to get a grocery store in the city of Carson, and everyone, Whole Foods, 365, everybody says we don't serve your demographic. And one of the primary reasons is because we don't have enough rooftops. And essentially the density that's coming to our community now is going to help us get those quality grocery stores that we have been longing for. So it is my hope that our economic development team, our planning department reaches out to these grocers to let them know all of these new attractions that are coming to our community. Carson is one of the last cities in the South Bay that actually has land to develop, and we are becoming that destination city. We are on the rise. We're on the right track, and those things are coming.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas, you get to take this one next.
Thank you again, Athena. I guess what I tell you is that this is sort of my lifeblood, because I've spent my entire career in commercial real estate finance prior to becoming an academic. And as an academic, this is the area in which I write. And so that is the reason why I'm interested, particularly in serving this city. I want to point to the fact that we have an actually entitled project at the corner of University and Central that has been entitled for several years that includes a 1,400 square foot grocer, a space for a grocery store. The problem is that we don't approach it with entrepreneurial thinking. And since I am an entrepreneur as well, I need to let you know that there are options such as yummy.com, which would work off a delivery model. And so we need to be thinking beyond Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, and instead taking an entrepreneurial approach to actually harness the power of our citizens themselves rather than focusing on density, because at the end of the day, that is a calling card for displacement. And we need markets for our existing residents, not the new residents that will be coming to our city. That's called gentrification.
Okay, thank you. So the next question, I'm going to turn this over to Pamela, but the first one to take the question will be Mr. Hilton.
Athena,
Yeah.
I didn't answer that question at all.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, you're right. I didn't check you off. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Okay, go ahead. Do I need to repeat the question, or are you good?
No, I'm good with it.
Okay, so sorry about that.
No problem. But understanding that my colleagues talked about it, the north part of Carson has been a food desert for a while. We did get Walmart to come in to one of our locations on the north end. But what we need to really look at is bringing in a grocery store on the corner of University and Central. And I know there's been some developers that I have spoken with who are very interested in that location and are working diligently with several different chains that's actually thinking of coming to the city of Carson. My concern is I'm very much an advocate of making sure that we have this food desert eliminated on the north end of the city. So it is very important that we have our fresh fruits and vegetables for our residents, and to make sure we have jobs available, because that will bring in new jobs as well as revenue to the city. So again, I am supportive of making sure we get a restaurant type grocery store on the north end, because again, entrepreneurship is part of it. So if you have a grocery store that may have a bank inside of it, a restaurant inside, it'll be a multi-use facility that you will have on the north end of Carson. So it's very much needed, and I support that and want to make sure it happens in the city.
Okay, thank you. I actually skipped a row. So the first one to answer Pamela's first question will be Ms. Williams-Murdoch.
Okay, it says the election is coming. How would you assist in finding a large location for residents to come and drop off ballots and vote?
That's a sensitive question right now. And here's why it's sensitive. We're in the midst of a pandemic, and although we would like things to go back to how they were previously, we've got to be mindful of what's going on. So while I would love for there to be a large location where people can come and drop off their ballots, don't know that what that would bring as it relates to crowd control. What I am excited about, however, is what our city clerk has done in partnering with the clerk's office to make sure, the recorder's office, to make sure that we have ballot boxes in our city, and there's secure ballot boxes in our city. And so we all know, we've all heard about the concerns as it relates to the post office and being sure that our ballots are counted. And so for her to extend this to the residents of the city of Carson is major. What I would do is ensure that I blast that and people are aware of that, as well as when I'm doing my invitation and inviting people to vote and register to vote, make sure that they have a place right here in the city of Carson for their ballots to go and know that it's secure.
Thank you. Mr. Hilton.
That was a pertinent question. I do believe we have a well and able, qualified city clerk here in the city of Carson in the personality of Donisa Goss Aldana. And she has spearheaded making sure that we have ballot boxes throughout the community, has partnered with LA County. I think it's so important that to know that everybody is going to receive a vote by mail ballot, whether you're registered to vote by mail or not. This election is very important. So I say when you get them, send them right back, whether it's at a ballot box or you take them to the county register or you go through the open voting period. But there will be a large enough space for us to vote. And I hope that LA County has prepared for us not to be on top of each other, for us to be able to practice social distance. But we need to do that and make sure that everybody vote is counted.
Thank you. And Mr. Thomas.
Thank you again for that question, Athena. Again, it shocks me that our existing officials are unaware that the university is ready, willing, and able to participate in this very process. The university within my district, University of California, Cal State University, Dominguez Hills, has a 7-day voting center that will be opening for the entire period. They are engaging in all of the social distancing protocols, and they were a voting center for the primary. And so again, if you're looking for a large location to actually turn in your votes and turn them in a socially distant way, there's no further place, especially within my district, than right at California State University, Dominguez Hills, and Extended Ed 1213. And hopefully you'll be receiving additional information about that on my page. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Mr. Hicks.
Thank you for that question, Athena. In looking, the question in itself, it says finding a location for residents to come and drop off a ballot and vote. With COVID-19, utilizing the outdoor area is very important. So you have the Carson Community Center, you have Cal State University Dominguez Hills, you have the parking lot over at the community center. You have, again, on the south end, you have the shopping center that's on the corner of Sepulveda and Main. You have Carson High School. These are locations where we can set up outdoor drive-through drop-off for the ballot and as well as to vote. So everything is outdoors, the same way you do restaurants now. Everything is on 6 months apart, 6 feet apart, and that you're in these locations. So one of the key areas that I think should be in place is to utilize the outdoor area that's available to you and in large locations. But again, I know our city clerk has put in provisions for the ballot to be dropped off. That needs to be known to the residents of the city so they are aware of where they can go to drop off ballots. But if you want to do a drive-by drop-off of your ballot, those are good key locations for the north, south, east, and west of the city.
Thank you. Okay, next question, Pamela. And Mr. Hilton, you're going to take this question first, and then we'll go to closing remarks after this one.
Thank you. Let's see. So this is a governance question. It says some of Carson City Council members are notoriously known for alliances, infighting, negativity, bullying, and other things. What will you do to rectify that image and restore dignity to local governance in our city?
I have prided myself during this term not to be a bully, not to make alliances, but to be an independent leader that people can trust, and to make sure that I vote for the best interests of the city and not myself. It has always been my hope to bring people together and get things done. That's the Hilton logo. That's the O. That's me bringing two people together. And I've never been on the end of bullying. I've never been on the end of creating an alliance. Sometimes we can agree to disagree, but I don't hold grudges. I think that the city's business is more important than our personal infighting. So I would just love to move the city forward. I will continue to be transparent in everything that I do and continue to serve the people.
Thank you. Okay, and Mr. Thomas?
Again, thank you, Athena, for the question. I'm very disturbed by the lack of decorum that I witness on council. Meetings and debate look more like school children and less like elected officials. The first piece of legislation that I would propose as a councilman would be a sunshine ordinance, as many cities in the San Francisco Bay Area have adopted. This ordinance would supplement the Brown Act and ensure greater transparency of our elected officials of city business, and would include limits on endless debate during meetings, something that escapes the current Carson Municipal Code. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. And Mr. Hicks.
What needs to be done is to look at the totality of each of the council meetings. You know, we can disagree to agree. And I think at some point in time that people get their feelings involved with it. And you got to remember, when you're sitting on that dais, you're representing the 98,000 residents of this community. It's not you personally. You may have your own opinions, but you are the opinion and the voice of 98,000 residents that entrusted your ability to be a representative of them. So I think by being, as our past First Lady, when they go low, you go high, that needs to be a mantra that you live by. Because again, it's what you say, and it's not how you say it, it's what you say. And that those are things that causes people to have feelings involved with it. Let's do the business of this city. I feel that is very important, and that for me, I am always going to be the voice of the residents and making sure that their voices are heard and that we get these streets clean, we get these trees trimmed, and we make this community safe.
Thank you. And Ms. Williams-Murdoch.
It's one of the reasons why I'm running. We've got to restore decorum to our council. And with all due respect, there are some council members that have been there for these past 4, 8, 12 years that are not exhibiting that. And it's not in what you say, it's in what you're doing. And I'd start with our employees. A lot of them feel like they are not backed. A lot of them feel like they express disdain for things and no one on council does anything about it. A lot of them feel like if they say something different than what council wants or council hears, then there's backlash about it. We've got to get rid of that. And it starts with me. It starts with me first. It starts with how I handle things, how I operate in things. I made a choice to make sure that my candidacy was positive across the board. And I stand by that. And I will do the same when I sit on the city of council. It's important. We got to bring it back. We have to.
Thank you. Okay, well, sadly, we've come to the end of our questions and we have to start wrapping it up. And so we're going to do the opposite of what we did with the opening remarks. We're going to start with the last person, or candidate number 7 will go first this time. So Mr. Hilton, you get to go first with your closing 2-minute remarks.
Well, again, I want to thank everyone for the opportunity. Thank you for your time. Thank you for tuning in on a Sunday. Again, I want to reiterate that I'm running for re-election to the Carson City Council in District 1. The future of Carson is on the ballot, and Hilton is on the ballot as well. I'm happy to say that I am the only candidate in this race that is endorsed by the employees of the city of Carson. That says a lot, that our frontline workers have took the chance to endorse me in this race. I'm endorsed by the community, by people you know and trust. I have proven leadership. In the time of pandemic, I didn't go hide, I didn't go run. I was on the front lines, serving over 4,000 meals, giving 4,000 boxes away of food, supplying PPE, and making sure that our essential workers were taken care of, fighting for COVID testing to come to the city of Carson, because I know that COVID testing is the way and the key to opening up our economy. I'm Jawan Hilton. I approve this message. I am the council member for District 1 and will be. I'll see you in November.
Thank you. Okay, next up, Ms. Williams-Murdoch.
I got to tell you how grateful I am for this opportunity. Anytime I get a chance to talk to the residents of the city of Carson, it's huge because I want them to know who I am. In 2016, I ran on fresh ideas. I ran as an independent thinker. It wasn't because it's a slogan. It's because of who I am. I know how to independently think. I know how to look at issues. I know how to look at concerns and decipher between the two. Will I have the answers to everything? No, but I have a huge network of people, mentors who've mentored me, and I have leadership skills behind me that can help me decipher what it is that we need to do to move our city forward. I am excited about being endorsed by people that normally endorse incumbents and have taken a chance on endorsing me as the next city council member of District 3. I'm connected to my community. I'm committed to our employees. I'm connected to those on the dais, community leaders and residents, and many of the children and and others within our community. Giving a fresh face, and I'm not just saying this, I want you to hear me. Giving a fresh face and a different voice the opportunity is exactly what we need in the city. We've said over and over again that we need change. We've said over and over again that we need to change decorum on our city council. Give me that opportunity. It's been done before, and we can certainly do this again. I would be most grateful for your consideration and for your support. My name is Brandy Williams Murdoch. I am running for Carson City Council District 3. Thank you so much for your time. It's a great day.
Thank you. I just had a thought that I forgot to ask. Pamela, could you put the link for the next forum in the chat box? Okay, thank you. Okay. So next up, we have Mr. Hicks and your 2-minute closing remarks.
Thank you. Thank you to the Women Voters League of Torrance area, because this has been a great opportunity for me and for all of the viewers to get to know who we are as individuals on the city council and those who are running to be on city council. I've been on the city council for the last 4 years, but I am no new face to this resident. I am the past director of community services. So if you have visited any parks in our city, any of our pools, and have done anything in our city, I have been part of your life. I mean, I've touched you in some way or fashion because of what I have done for this community over the years. When COVID-19 hit, I did not run away. I was on the forefront of making sure that the residents in the city of Carson were taken care of. Again, over 4,000 food has been given out to our residents of the city of Carson, help establish our emergency rental assistance program, making sure that we stopped evictions because of people losing their jobs and not being able to go to work. Did COVID-19 payroll protection programs as well. And one of the key areas that I've always worked on is making sure that the residents are in the forefront of any decisions that's being made in the city of Carson. Again, I am an advocate of the residents of the city of Carson. I am a resident of the city of Carson for over 30 years. I always talk about all of my kids as well as my grandkids and being a part of the park system in the city. I am your council person here in the city of Carson. When I ran the first time, I was the highest vote getter that the city history has ever had. And again, I am a person that is approachable, open door policy. If you need to get in contact with me, my number is 310-864-9874, or you can reach me by my email is cedrichhickscouncilman2020.com. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Thomas, your 2-minute closing statement.
In closing, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you about my candidacy. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the web under Thomas 4 Council. We also have the Government Sunshine Project on YouTube, new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. My candidacy stands in direct contrast to politics as usual in Carson. I'm committed to truthful reporting. I'm interested in discussing the important ideas necessary to move the great city of Carson forward. My campaign will not engage in negative campaigning of any kind. To quote Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high. I believe in truth and the strength of my ideas and ideals. My hashtag is conviction over ambition. My website, Thomas for Council, with my full platform and ideas of how we move Carson forward, is operational. I believe in respecting the voters and arming them with truthful information. Once armed with the truth, the voters can see the difference between the relational leadership of which I stand for and contrast that with the transactional leadership our community has endured for years. Please note that my candidacy is more than platitudes. It's built around a clear action plan for how we take these ideals into action. The Bible says faith without works is dead. Please allow me the opportunity to share this vision and action plan over the coming weeks. Allow me to end this message with an adaptation of a classic of a great soul group from my childhood, the emotions. If you see anything or hear anything about me or my campaign, don't ask my neighbors. Come to me. You can reach me at 310-623-2989 directly. Hashtag Thomas for Council. Hashtag Conviction Over Ambition. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So that concludes our time together. So normally if we were in a big room, we'd be applauding. So I will be the audience. Yay! Thank you so much to all of you candidates for showing up. For all of you who've been watching, thank you. And just as a reminder, within a day or two, we will have this video cleaned up. It's in its entirety. There'll just be an intro and outro. The outro will have all the information about the candidates. And that'll be on our website, which is lwvtorrancearea.org, and on our YouTube channel. So you can look for it there. But all the candidates will be sent the link directly. So you don't have to go out into the world searching for it. And I just want to thank Monica Fredericks, our chair of voter service, for chasing you guys down, forcing you to show up. And it's a lot of work to be voter service chair. And so thank you, Monica. And that does it for today. We will be, I don't know if Pamela was able to put the link for the mayoral candidates start at 4:00. And they've all confirmed that they're coming. So we'll see how that works out. And so I don't know, is it in the chat box? I guess I could look.
Yes, it is. I
Okay.
did put it there.
Okay. Thank you so much. So thank you all for attending, and hope to see you at the next session, and have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.